All right, everybody, welcome back to the Stone Protocol with Lightstone. I have Yehuda Halevi. This is part 2 of our 2-part interview. The first part was over on Shells and Shadows, my good friend's podcast. And now we're back in our Boulder studio the following day to record this second episode for you guys. So if you haven't watched the first one, please head on over to Shells and Shadows. We'll put a link down in the bio notes to look at part 1. So in part 1, we talked a lot about a lot of stuff. You know, we don't even need to recap it. They literally just, you're going to go watch it. And so we actually recorded another podcast that didn't get saved. So technically this is actually part 3.
This is part 3.
Which is
part 2 was just for our ears.
Exactly. It was hidden behind a shell of silence, a cone of silence. But I actually kind of like that. So we're going to build on what we talked about in part 2, obviously understanding that you guys weren't there for that, but it's still fresh in our hearts and minds because we literally just did it yesterday. I kind of want to dive into kind of like what would be the natural part of part 3. We were talking about this men's group that you are, co-creating and working on.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that.
Yeah. And also I want to note that since we filmed part 2, you and I haven't shared this, but you and I have both had pretty just like eye-opening, heart-opening experiences.
Yeah.
You can share yours.
Okay.
I actually took part in a men's group last night.
Oh, did you? Okay.
And it's the first time I went.
Okay.
And after our conversation about what I'm trying to build and going to this new men's group and really just feeling into that space of men who are holding space for one another and really getting into the deep and raw emotions that we often don't share, got me really pumped.
That's amazing.
To start what I'm starting.
Okay, that's really cool. I love that. Yeah, that's awesome. And I'm trying to remember what was part of part 1 versus part 2, which got deleted.
Mm-hmm.
One of the main things that we talked about, and I think this was still on your podcast, was, and I'll kind of, I guess, recap a little bit. Maybe it'll be helpful. This feeling of, I think this was on mine, so this is good because this is lost to the ethers. A feeling of not necessarily having a home and being out in this kind of boarding facility that you were in. And I also went to boarding school too, and then being now the man that maybe you wish you had in your life to support you then, from a sense of belonging and a sense of brotherhood. And you then found that for yourself, and you're now making that and co-creating that with other young men. And now it seems like you're in part of a men's group now that you went to last night. So I kind of want to just like hold that conversation with that understanding as well. Yeah. Maybe share a little bit of your experience with the men's group.
Yeah. I had never been in this environment before. And so stepping into this room, I stepped into a new set of social norms and standards and rules.
Yeah, social normative behavior.
Right. And it's interesting moving into an environment like that, the rules change. And so you feel like you're almost in an altered state.
Yeah. Naturally.
Because everything around you is operating at such a different level than it normally is when you're just having a normal interaction on the street, for say.
Yeah.
So I very quickly was faced with discomfort because it's challenged what my normal operating mode is.
Sure. And
with that, I had the opportunity to either lean into it and just like be curious about it, or just fully shut down.
Okay.
And so I leaned into the curiosity, and it was a little uncomfortable. A big part of the group was eye contact.
Interesting.
So we do a very grounding meditation, and then immediately after, they had us open our eyes, and they said, "No, meet everyone's eyes around the room for a few moments." And so everyone took a moment to scan the room and just hold eye contact with all the
was that
men.
But you make good eye contact, so was that a challenge for you, or
well, these were strangers, so it was a little bit different, and it was just like it was a new environment for me, but I loved it. I loved just holding that presence with other men.
What is the group called? Is it okay for you to say what the group is, and you can kind of promote them?
I don't know what it is. I found it because 2 different people.
Oh, really? You just like
and
men's group
there were only
crashing?
7 people there, and somehow I met 2 of the 7 people.
Oh, wow.
Invited me, so it felt very meant to be.
Instead of wedding crashers, you're men's group crashers.
Yeah, exactly.
That's fun. So what can you pull from that experience into learning that we had in the conversation yesterday. Every time I record a podcast and I'm on other people's podcasts, I always learn too. So that's exactly what you're talking about. What did you then bring into that men's group experience, and how is that now reframing this thing that you are creating that I definitely want to talk about? Yeah.
So what did I pull from our podcast?
Both.
Bring it into that environment, and how am I like bringing that all together?
Exactly.
Right. That is a very good question.
I try to have some of those occasionally.
So I felt like I got to experience two different sides of men's work.
Sure.
When we were talking, I felt more like a facilitator, someone who's looking to create something, build something, hold that space for the people.
Yeah.
And when I went to this event, I felt very held by someone else's space that they were creating. And that goes back to what we were talking about in our conversation, where being the person that's bringing that to other people, but also bringing something that your younger self might want to receive, right? To be able to give it, but also receive it in a way. It's very rewarding because it's also very healing. And I got to experience both sides of that. And it got me a little bit out of my head of like, oh, other people really want to receive this. Because when I was receiving this experience, all I could feel was gratitude, no judgment.
In the men's group.
Yeah. And just appreciation for someone else giving me their time to put this event on. It was very empowering that way to then say, okay, well, what can I take from this and now go make it something of my own?
Right. To actually then do that. Yeah. One of the things that you mentioned in our podcast, and when you then kind of stated that, I then leaned in and then kind of did that with and for fun with you, was some of the challenging. How I challenge is very different. And we then, talked about, and I was reminiscing also with this person that I was speaking with you before the podcast started, saying the name of Yahweh, which is, again, and I'm actually want to ask like why that is taboo as well. But I would say Yahweh, and you're like, that word that you use, that name that you use. Yeah. But then not doing it in a aggressive way. I have zero aggression around this. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I can feel that.
But then to also learn and then to understand some of the multifaceted names that you have for divinity and like deity-ship. And deity feels like something outside, but like that oneness in Hebrew, which is awesome. And so, but for me to then ask, I have to differentiate, which then means I have to say like that which should not be named.
Right.
And so where is the space for that type of challenging, particularly as a facilitator for young men, and then where there's a power dynamic, but then with men who maybe there's an age difference, but there's no power dynamic. At least that's not how I see it. There shouldn't be, in my opinion. It's not non-pejorative. How can there then be a challenging there where it's not a trying to have power over?
Challenging in what way exactly?
Kind of like, because I kept on coming back in our podcast too, of like, oneness, that's God, like so you're God. And I was not trying to get you to say that you're God, but that's where I just kept on coming back to.
And I appreciated the challenging because it got me thinking, and I was thinking about it for the rest of the day.
Yeah, me too.
And I do want to also say that there is nothing wrong with saying that name.
Oh, okay.
But I reserve the usage of that name for when I'm in prayer.
Oh, okay. Okay. So that's a big
so when I'm having like a conversation or I'm writing something out, like I won't write it out. I won't just like drop it in conversation. If you listened in on me in prayer or in song where I'm in like a mode of prayer, then I will say it. And it's
that makes more sense.
Yeah.
So it's not like a bad thing.
No, it's not a bad thing at all. It's just like holding it like the
it's sacred.
High regard.
It's sacred.
It's sacred.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. Okay, cool. Okay. That makes more sense. Cool. So when you can leverage these past experiences are thinking about these ways in which men interact, how do you want to show up and hold this container for the project that you're going to co-create? And also, does it have a name yet?
So specifically for what I'm doing for the organization that I work with, I've been running men's groups for them this whole year since I graduated. I was a student who very much benefited from the work they do, and now I'm starting these groups. And so we shifted away. It was a little bit more of like a casual get together, and we were moving it more towards something a little bit deeper, a little bit more meanmeaningful. And it's specifically a Jewish organization. So I called it the Warrior Juice Series, Discipline of Body and Soul. Okay. And I've got his name is Alex. I'm gonna pull up his Instagram. Okay. He's a amateur bodybuilder. He's gonna go pro pretty soon. He has the most, so I say this in like a non
like homosexual way, but like as a weightlifter, he has one of the most beautiful physiques for a male.
I think I know.
Yeah.
I think I know Alex.
Yeah, he's a good. So if you like want to get like a warrior Jew, like he's so fit. I knew him when he was what is it, Alex Aaron.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
I went.
Yeah, here I'm gonna get a good one of him. Here's our boy Alex.
Yeah, of course I know Alex.
Yeah, I don't know if y'all can see Alex. So he's going to be on the podcast. He's studying abroad.
No way.
Right now.
You'll have to let me know.
Yeah,
when.
yeah. Here he is. So you can look it up. Alex Aaron Lab on Instagram. He's a little spicy. He definitely leans into the like controversy around like Jews protecting themselves, and like and I have to be like, bro, like maybe don't start a race war here, but I care about him a lot, and I consider him a good friend. And Alex, I look forward to having you on the podcast.
So I may have contributed to that.
Oh, bro, we should talk about that.
I mean, I met Alex because I was a staff for a birthright trip. So I brought a group of students from CU to Israel for like a 10-day immersive experience.
Very cool. I have genetic ancestry, so there's like birthright for like adults where they can go and help out. Is my understanding. Yeah.
There is.
Yeah, he's got the wheels are turning.
But yeah, no, I got to have the experience with him.
Yeah,
he's a great guy.
Yeah, so he'd be a good Jew warrior for you. So break it down for me. What is it? This program.
This program. Yeah. So we're trying to find ways to help these men in particular who they're in college, right? They're in fraternities, they're going out drinking, having casual sex, just like doing their thing. But when they're in this space, when they come to the Friday night dinners to celebrate Shabbat, and when they're in this space, they're tapping into something a little bit deeper that they won't get in these other areas of college life. And so the goal is not just to have Judaism that is happening through social and learning and whatnot, which is all great. It's all fun, meaningful, but to tap into the body and the soul, and the way that we as men often tap into our just innate primal energy, our soul.
So how I love all of this. How are you doing that?
Yeah. So all of that to say, so far we have this sauna and cold plunge that we're doing.
Very cool.
And we're going to involve some drumming, chanting, like Jewish chanting, singing, and make it. So we're bringing
will
the
it involve
into
saying that name with the chanting?
No, it won't. It'll be more.
So I'm trying to gauge. So I'm not being hyperbolic. So how sacred then, like where does it fall on the line there?
Right. So that name, it depends on who you talk to, first of all, right? I mean, there's this saying, it's like 2 Jews, 3 opinions.
Okay.
Right? So like people disagree on a lot of different things. But most often you'll hear it in a prayer service, in personal prayer.
Okay.
Like I have a prayer like a prayer session I do every morning. So that area I'll say it.
Okay.
Doing something like this, it's spiritual, but it's not
more jam band.
Yeah, it's different.
Okay.
So that's the first one we're going to be doing.
Okay.
The second one we're going to be doing, we're renting out a climbing gym.
Okay.
And so we're going to be
here in Boulder.
Yeah.
Do you want to shout them out?
We haven't booked anything, but I think we're going to go with Movement.
Okay. Movement's great. I love Movement. Yeah. I remember when they were building Movement, I would ride my bike past it all the time just because I was so stoked about it. So it was like the cool hot thing 20 years ago.
Yeah. So hopefully one of the guys that we work with, he's a great climber. So he's going to help lead. And that intention is learning how to trust your body, right? And how you're moving, and also trusting your brother who's belaying you below. Yeah. And then the last one we're going to do, at least this semester for the students, is Krav Maga.
Okay.
So that's
unarguably one of the most deadly martial arts on the face of the planet. So I'm a martial arts instructor, and Krav is wild. I've done actually a lot of weapons disarming from Krav people. Yeah. It's wild. Like disarming for handguns and like it's crazy. Like, and I guess the intention behind that is learning how to hold and set boundaries around your physical space. Right? Learning as men how to become a weapon, but a controlled weapon. Particularly when someone has a gun to the back of your head.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And to do it with peers who you trust. Yeah. I think it'll be very powerful. So that's like the series we're putting on this semester for them.
Very cool. That's awesome. And that's primarily for college students.
Yeah. It's primarily college students who are Jewish and go to this organization are just involved with.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So there's two paths I want to go, and we're gonna do both of them. Number one, and I shouted her out in our other podcast that got deleted, but is Zoe Rux, who is my website designer. So we're gonna have Zoe do your website. We're gonna figure it out. She's amazing. Cool. And so we're actually also, I'm gonna have her on the podcast, literally the next podcast that we're recording later today.
Oh wow.
Yeah. And so and so you will be able to. Are you gonna be here? Are you gonna produce that?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So you're gonna get some serious FaceTime with Zoe. We're gonna be talking about AI. We're gonna be talking about Replit, Bitcoin, all sorts of really cool stuff. She's incredible, and so she is going to help you optimize that to then get the word out. So that's one thing. Awesome. The other thing, and it's so funny. There's like, even just this conversation, and even just you wearing the Star of David, I have the Star of David hanging on my rear view mirror, actually. Oh, wow. Yeah. I also have a bunch of other symbols too. I'm covered in Sanskrit, but I have like a good solid chunk of my genealogy is from Yahweh. And so like, I am proud of that. I know that there are people listening to this podcast who are like, their fingers are like this.
Why?
On the table, just talking about Judaism and like Jewish people. Like,
really?
It is so charged on the internet right now. Like on my feed on Instagram, if I were to go on Instagram, just my feed, and I am like, again, like having like good, healthy conversations about this. I have curated my particular Instagram feed to have, here's Babe Philosophy. Shout out to Babe Philosophy. To have a really good understanding of kind of what's happening for a good data stream. And if I scroll down a little bit, I'm going to hit what you guys would call anti-Semitic stuff.
Oh, I get that stuff on my Instagram too.
Right. I'm trying to get a good one, but it's just like, there's just a lot of bodybuilders. It's funny. Most of them are all men, and I'm very straight. It's just like random fucking fit dude.
So I want to make a distinction here.
Please.
Everything we've talked about so far is Jewish religion, mysticism,
but
spirituality.
My point is, people are like hating on Jewish people.
Right. And I don't understand why.
Right. Well, so that's what I want to talk about.
For listeners, you and I, without getting into it, and I had a pretty intense and deep conversation on Friday about this topic.
Sure.
And it really, dude, it stuck with me all day.
In a good way or bad way?
In a challenging way.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
It was just a little bit sad for me.
Oh, okay.
Because
hopefully not my opinions about it. I mean, or tell me, please.
No, what was sad to me was the idea that, because I'm in a bubble in that way. Like I'm surrounded by Jewish people. I don't really I hear things, but I don't really hear it from a full outside perspective. Okay. And it was sad because I know at the core of what my people believe and what my traditions are, that it is purely to bring godliness and to bring holiness into the world by going down into the dirt and the darkness of our world and finding ways to elevate it, finding ways to find the spark of meaning within it, and bring it to the light. Literally, the name of my podcast, Shells and Shadows, it's rooted in that mission that's tied into Judaism. It's to bring that to the light. And so when I see just Judaism being misconstrued online and in ways that you're telling me, it's sad. I'd say that's the first emotion.
No, that
brings out for me.
Well, I think so. I had this experience where, and I briefly mentioned, I don't want to get too much into a podcast because who knows where the future is going to go with this person. But I had this experience, and I could have reacted in anger, but instead I went to sadness, and that I feel is the more healthy and mature base level. We can have anger up there, and there's a place for anger, but to be grounded in that sadness is, I think, very, very healthy. So I'm just mirroring back as like your friend and your brother, that is, I think, the appropriate response. And so let's maybe like hold this part of the conversation with that sadness. And I feel it too. It's interesting. So there's another bodybuilder guy that I really enjoy, and he goes around interviewing people doing natty or not interviews. They're silly. I don't watch the whole thing, but I'll watch clips, and it's kind of funny. I actually prefer it when he talks with the women, because it's very interesting to see the difference between natural women and not natural women. And I respect everyone and their choices around PEDs. Although I think that women should be very, 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 I'll do a lot more, very judicious or reserved in their use of androgens, basically, for virilization. Just be careful, ladies. Regardless, he does these. He then kind of goes in and goes, okay, maybe you've heard this, it's a joke, but if a guy gets kicked out of like 20 bars, like whose fault is it? The guy's fault or the bar's fault? Or like, oh, well, it's the guy's fault. You go, okay, well, Jews have been kicked out of 20 countries. Whose fault is it? You know, have you heard this joke before?
I mean, similar things, like not in this context,
right?
But yeah.
So this is the type of stuff that is out there, and it's interesting. So I see these things and I can see it being like propagandized, and it almost feels like I've seen things happen with the right and the left here in our country, of Democrats and Republicans, where there's been corruption that actually our taxpayers have been sent into by paying influencers. I'm not saying that this Natty or Not guy has been paid. I mean, I don't know, maybe, I doubt it though, to do this, but people getting paid to actually push a narrative. So it's propaganda paid for by whatever, tax dollars if you're Democrats. And Republicans, I'm sure, and to create derisiveness, right? To create discord. And so coming from that place of sadness, I guess it would be interesting to explore that idea now of like, why is that occurring in our country, and what validity is there even in that joke, and like, how can we suss out the truth and the falsehoods while looking at ourselves very clearly in the mirror? I mean, like, America's done all sorts of crazy fucked up shit. So it's not like America is like this like bastion of like hope and justice and like service to humanity. I mean, CIA fucking kills so many people. They sell drugs. Like it's cartel, basically. We pay 50% taxes to pedophiles. So like, clearly it's not a great thing. Right. And then Judaism and also Israel also clearly have corruption too. And so how can we sort those things out?
Let's separate. Well,
yeah, please go ahead.
So I don't want to talk about Israel today, because I don't even want to touch on that, because that's such a,
it's too hot.
It's too hot. Like, let's talk about Judaism. So you think you're saying Judaism has corruption, or are we talking about the Israeli government? Because I don't want to get into that part. Okay. I'm just trying to clarify. No, totally.
And maybe hopefully we can build a container of safety to talk about it another time.
Yeah, I think so. Okay. But I think that those are two separate conversations to have.
That makes sense. No,
yeah. Otherwise we're gonna just go down.
I respect it. I appreciate it. Thank you for holding a good boundary. I think every religion has corruption.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So like look at Christianity. Oh my God. Like, it's fucking a pedophile ring.
Right.
You know, like, not all of Christianity.
Right. But
like the Roman Catholic Church. I mean, the joke in Boston, which is like, you know, the whole Spotlight thing, the movie Spotlight that came out that like exposed all the pedophiles in Boston. It was like, the joke was like, pedophile here, we're gonna be like, like, here's a pedophile, there's a pedophile, like, oh, you can't see him now. Like he's in a different parish. Like, it's like a joke, right? It's that bad.
So, and I want to point something out. People won't look at a Christian and associate them with a pedophile priest.
And Catholics. Oh man, for sure. Yeah.
I mean, if you think,
I guarantee you, 100%. Oh yeah.
You think people meet a Catholic and associate them with that?
It is so systemically tainted into Catholicism at this point. It is a stain. It is a mark. It's like the hand of Sauron on their face now. Yeah. It is that bad because they botched it so badly. It almost seems like it was intentional, that it is somehow systemic in that organization to harm young boys as predators. Yeah.
Right. So just to like be clear, we're saying that like these people that are committing these awful acts,
correct,
directly, they're not just people who are Catholic.
They're
supposed to be leaders.
They are leaders. There's high level leaders in the Roman Catholic faith and church.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So how does that compare when you're giving this example for Catholicism? These are these people who are very much examples of what a Catholic ought to be, and they're doing these things.
They are examples of what a Catholic shouldn't be doing, and yet they're doing, and then the Catholic Church is protecting them,
right,
for their own reasons.
Right.
Bad, right, equals evil, right? And so then a lot of people say, oh, well, then there is a vein of, and then there's like the designation, there's the gray pope, the black pope, the red pope. Mm-hmm. I mean, a lot of people, there's like aliens out of the Vatican. Like, it's wild, right? So there's a lot of stuff that is probably not actually conspiracy theories. It's just like actually real stuff that's occurring, dark rituals and who knows what else, right? And so I say this as a juxtaposition to, yes, I also believe that Judaism has bad things. If we look at the, go back to which I draw my lineage through to King Solomon. I mean, he had, the seal of Solomon that gave him control over demons. I mean, he then built the Temple of Jerusalem. Like, that's cool. But
you told me about this.
Right.
Yeah.
But imagine what other things people have done. And if you look at Kabbalistic, practices, you definitely can use that for ill. And definitely people have done that over time.
So I also want to say, when we talk about religion, we have to look at it as an ideal of what it should be, and then what it has become through just clinging to doctrine and mankind, being mankind with our shadow self, and descending into taking something that could be used for holiness and
use it for evil,
and using it for evil.
Yes.
And that exists across the board, anywhere, any country, any religion.
That's why I used Roman Catholicism as an example.
Yes.
That's why, not to just shit on Judaism.
So I know that about the Catholic Church. I've heard those things, but I don't associate that with someone that I meet who's Catholic, because again, we are individuals, and just because someone believes in the same high ideal doesn't mean they're also using it in this lower form.
Sure.
And that's
hopefully.
But I also know people that aren't.
Totally. So I'm not trying to challenge you.
So what I'm saying is, I do think that what we focus on is also forms of belief. So if I'm going to focus on my dear friend Danny, who grew up Catholic and has used it to deepen his connection with God, etc., I would also like to associate other people. I know that there are other people like that doing that, and not say that Catholicism is evil. Right? There may be evil people who have taken it away from what it should be and what it ought to be. Yeah. But I'm not going to say that the whole thing is
totally. And I don't think the whole thing is. I think for me, just because I facilitate a container for trauma healing and also for people who've been through satanic ritual abuse, and many of those people who have been preyed upon in satanic ritual abuse were Catholics. Yeah. And were being preyed upon by Catholics. Right. And they wore the robes of Catholicism, but they were Satanists. Okay. And there's a whole craziness there. And so for me, it's eyes wide open, looking at this, the horrors, tears streaming down my face, but still looking and being very aware. Yeah. And so I guess to hedge that whole conversation, why do you think our country is so obsessed with being so very frustrated with Judaism?
I think that, and this is consistent for any group that is different from the norm, people, I think humanity as a whole, we want to be around, and we want to accept what is familiar to us and what seems normal to us. And whether we realize it or not, we do have a tendency to push away, reject, demonize what isn't. And I mean, this country is not new to racism in the world. I mean, that exists. I think
it's more than that, though.
I don't know. I think
it's more than that.
But I just want to acknowledge that, because it's a conversation that for other marginalized groups, that is the conversation. It's a conversation about racism, and people associate people. That's not something that we can apply to Jews. At least that's what we're told, right? When the truth is, here's a group, it is unfamiliar to a lot of people, and it's very easy to say, oh, that's bad, that's strange, that's not what I'm used to. I'm not gonna hold openness and acceptance to that, because I don't understand it.
There's so many people that do, though. So it's so polarized, because there's so many that are so pro Judaism, and then now there's this very powerful movement that is, I really hate the term anti-Semitic, because I feel like that's been weaponized. I'll just say I don't know what. Yeah, technically that is the correct term. I just don't like it, because I feel like that's been now weaponized.
It's not a good term.
Yeah,
it's not a good term.
But it's just it feels like propaganda, anti-Jew propaganda. But I think it's also because it's so closely connected in with Israel.
Okay, so let's not call it that. Let's call it Jew hatred.
Yeah, maybe it is.
That we can make it black and white.
right.
It
feels like Jew hatred.
Well, let's call it that, because that way there's clarity over what it is and what it isn't. So if we're bringing in the whole Israel thing, we're not going to automatically label that as Jew hatred, right? There's room for political discussion, and we're not talking about politics here. You and I, we're talking about something different,
right? Are you feeling okay?
I'm feeling good. No, I've had a lot of time to think since we last spoke.
Right.
So I want to.
This is Lightstone trying to make sure he doesn't like tank a friendship here.
You're good, man.
All right.
I want to acknowledge the Jews being kicked out of different countries.
Yeah, because this is a joke I hear all the time, and people like laugh really hard at this, right? So, and that means that it's getting traction in the zeitgeist of America.
Right. So I want everyone to remember we're talking about the church in Europe. When Jews, when Jews were spread out around Europe, we look at like the Spanish Inquisition and other movements that tried to force conversion amongst all peoples in that area, not just Jews. Muslims face this, all sorts of groups. And so often Jews were told either you convert to Christianity or whatever the religion was, and many of them did, or you die, or you leave. And so those who chose to convert did. Some went into hiding in the country.
My ancestors both converted and left Germany. Yeah. So my last name used to be Stein, right? So it's stone. Stein, my understanding in German, in Dutch, means stone, but they were German Jews.
Yeah.
And they were like, all right, one, we're converting. We're also changing our name, and we're fucking leaving this country.
Yeah. And I'm not just talking about like within the 20th century. I'm also talking about far
way back
before.
In the day.
Yeah, far before. I mean, I used the example of the Spanish Inquisition, but that is a very good one because it forced a lot of Jews out of the country, and those that didn't leave were either killed, went into hiding, or converted.
Right.
And so like the joke, I can appreciate humor. Without humor, we have nothing, right? The joke's the joke. But I also
but like in my mind, fuck the joke. Like I want to look at it from like a psychological perspective. Like, why is this occurring? You know what I mean? Like, it's almost like, I don't know. It's
you look at the different groups that were trying to force convert anyone within their sovereign land that didn't believe in the same religion that they believed in.
Right.
And it's not exclusive to the Jews.
Yeah.
But it did happen a lot to the Jews. If you look, Jews lived very peacefully in Muslim countries and still did up until recently, because there were agreements between the Jews and the Muslim rulers at the time that they could freely practice their religion. They had to pay a certain amount of tax to be able to do so and whatnot. But they did stay within those countries and only fled once,
shake out.
Once things have been stirred up in the last.
So you would chalk it up to racism, and I'm not trying to put it words in your mouth. I'm trying to like understand, and then hopefully this can then like osmosis into the viewer as well that has a more Christian perspective. Not that I'm covered in Sanskrit, but I also understand Christianity and appreciate parts of it. Racism, just this different group bad.
I don't even know if I'd say racism. Also, that's another word that's just,
I don't like that one either.
It's just used so much that like, hey, we're like.
Yeah, because it's like, can black people be racist? I think they totally fucking can, in my opinion. You know what I mean?
Right. So I wouldn't use that word, but I will challenge. I'm sure that there were instances that the Jews specifically were kicked out, and we know of that. But I also know that forced conversion and rejection of what was different at the time is real. Yeah, and it happened. Yeah, and I want to just challenge that for a bit.
I want
to ask people to just refrain from jumping to conclusions, because there could be a different story here.
I'm sure there is. Well, and I think it has to do with the CIA. I think it has to do with Israel. I think it has to do with fucking money and the Rothschilds and a big.
Well, I'm not even talking about our modern world right now. I'm talking about. I'm just unpacking the joke specifically and the why behind it, I guess.
Yeah. So interesting. So do you want to hear a conspiracy theory? Okay. So
I mean, you tell me like 5 different conspiracy theories every day. So
I know. Welcome to the Stone Protocol with Lightstone. Yeah, crazy shit that comes out of the dude's mouth. All right, so check this out. So I gotta take a sip of coffee before I dive into this one. Okay, so long time ago, in a country far away. Do you know Joseph in the Technicolor Dreamcoat?
Yes.
Okay, those Canaan days. So in Canaan, there are a lot of Canaanite deities. Okay, Yahweh being one of them. This is like well established. Was not the one above all. Very clearly established. That was El. And if we go into Hebrew, there's El, and that's the same as like Elohim. There were many Elohim below El. Michael being the one who is like El. He was different. There's a really interesting story in which he was summoned by someone, and it took Michael. This is like, I'm just like setting the stage for the story I'm about to say, giving a context for Elohim. So said, hey, Michael, we need some help. You're fucking badass. Come bring your fiery sword and, fuck these guys up. He goes, okay, cool. I'll be there. It took him 30 days. These things can fly. So they're like, why did it take so long? He goes, oh, I was detained. I was fighting the Elohim of Persia. It took me some time. I wasn't able to defeat him completely. I'm going to help you and then go back and go kick the shit out of him in Persia. But he's also another Elohim, just like you and Yahweh being Elohim. You have summoned me. I've done my thing because El has decreed it to be such. So within this time frame, there are many Elohim. Ishtar being one of them, Baal being another. There are many. Some of them are bad. They demand child sacrifices, really heinous things. There's this one device. It's this cow, metal cow, and they put humans in it and they burn it, and the humans scream out through the cow. Apparently, that's the sound that.
What is this from?
This is from Canaan sacrifice. Yeah,
it's Canaanites.
So the old that is back like the original area in which like the Jewish people.
Well, no, I know Canaan. I'm just asking like what group of people, I guess, believe in this.
Of which one? Of the bull thing? I think that was that was not so Ishtar didn't do that. That's more of like Baal, I believe. Yeah. He was like a bull god.
Well, who are the people, I guess,
all the different warring tribes of Israel, right? Of that area. So of
Canaanites,
correct.
Or descendants of Abraham. Are you like,
so there's Abraham, and then there's a bunch of fucking tribes. It's like a bunch of humans just doing crazy ass shit in Canaan during that time period. We can look up the time period to be like exactly nail it down. But Yahweh being one of those deities of the Elohim, just kind of setting the stage for that. There's a dude that I'll get on the podcast who can speak to it at a very high degree. He's literally a biblical scholar in this specifically.
Okay.
Does that answer your question?
Well, I'm just wondering, are you talking about specifically the people in general? Or are you talking about the direct descendants of Abraham, Isaac, Jacob?
Yes.
And
also them
sons
too.
of
Also them too. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. But also the other people around in those spaces.
Understood.
And they were worshiping all sorts of things like the golden calf, things like that. They were worshiping Isis statues. So, and they viewed those deities as other Elohim. We can then kind of like layer over, are these spiritual entities? Are these aliens? It gets kind of murky. So and here's the conspiracy theory, right? That Yahweh was a war god. This is well known, a very powerful war god, but had no land. So he basically was like, if you think of it like from a video game, it was like, okay, you don't have a home base, but you got like more weapons than everybody else. And El was like, good fucking luck, bro. Like, let's see what you can do. Your land is way over there across these mountains. You have to take your people and traverse this desert and go through like 5 different subsectors of other Elohim. And if you can survive, you'll then be safe enough to be okay over there. But I'm going to give you like the equivalent of like a Uzi when everyone else has like sticks and stones. We would call this the Ark of the Covenant. It was very, just go ask, people how that went for them when, the walls of Jericho, right?
Right.
So he had some fucking pretty cool magic, right? Some very, very powerful tools that he and his people used. As he then went, literally they were taking over these cities to try and go find their location. So from this other perspective, we then have a different viewpoint of the cosmology. Remember we talked about like, right, what's the religion, spirituality, and the cosmology of how this entire system then works. Why did one of the Elohim have the Ark of the Covenant and others didn't? Why was he able to summon these beasts from the air, winged serpents? we call them dragons that breathe fire. I mean, it's like literally written about in the Bible. When Moses came back, why was his skin burned from the burning bush? Was it a bush, or did he actually see, like, was it a fucking spaceship? Was it a fucking dragon? What are these things these people are seeing? Like, what are these things? And then why would anyone want to do this? Like, why is that interesting to El, the one above all? So if we think of, I'm going to take a sip of water.
Mm-hmm.
So we think of why, we go back into the Bible and we look at, okay, what are Nephilim? Are you familiar with this term Nephilim?
Yeah.
So Nephilim are these human hybrids with these other spiritual beings, fallen angels, or are they watchers? You know, from the book of Watchers, the book of Enoch. What are these things? One way to look at this is that humans were basically used as breeding livestock to try and create this new kind of evolution of creature. And they took these larger, more powerful beings, the Elohim, and they then put their genetic code inside of humans and then had those beings like fucking Hunger Games style fight. Some of them had more defensive things. Others had more healing magic. Others had the fucking Ark of the Covenant. And then El was like, okay, have at it. And just like you would breed dogs, fighting dogs, you let the fucking strong ones survive. And like, if you look at fucking Alex, I mean, I got Jew blood in me too, bro. Right. But if you look at Alex, and his whole thing is like, this is what a Jew looks like. Like, bro, I'd fucking hold a sword next to that kid. You know, he's like, what, 18? Dude. So clearly something's working there. Same with the Vikings too. So if you even look at this from the same perspective, was Thor and Odin and Freya, were they also these similar things, giving control over these fiefdoms of the land? And they literally say, so like Odin's son. So I have that genealogy in me. Literally, like I have the blood of Odin in me, according to this tradition. I have the blood of Yahweh in me, according to this tradition. Go ahead.
So
it's wild, right?
Yeah,
it's a lot.
So when you talk about like the blood of Odin, like I guess knowing that, like how does that make you feel,
bro?
That you have that within you.
Fucking great. It's literally the same as knowing that I have the blood of Yahweh in me. Yeah. For me, it is the same, drawing my genetic ancestry. One of the reasons I'm covered in Sanskrit, I don't have any actual like Indian descent, but Shiva Mahadev is a huge influence for me. And so part of these tattoos was to imbue this physical body with Mahadev. So Shiva Mahadev, Maha means the largest. Dev means God or deity. And literally his title on the entire planet was the largest of these. And he would fight. He and his two brothers would get into it. And no one could defeat Shiva Mahadev in unarmed or armed combat. He had the Trikaloka, the trident, which some people then call as, Satan's pitchfork, or other people call it as, Poseidon's, trident. So it's really interesting to look at some of these things, also Hades too. And so where's the similarity? Where's the difference? So from this perspective, you would have still a one above all, and that would be more in line with what you were saying around like God is one. I forget the Hebrew term for this.
One is echad.
Ahad would be different than Yahweh. From this perspective, I'm not saying that's right. I'm not trying to challenge or saying this is what you should believe. I'm just like sharing it of like, this is then a viewpoint. What do you think?
Interesting. And you also just sprinkled in a bunch of other like beliefs and traditions. I think that's cool.
I'm trying to tie it in together. Trying to tie it.
Yeah. And just for anyone listening, like I enjoy these sort of like explorations and philosophical conversations. Like, and I hope that other people are seeing it as that as well. And not, I mean, you mentioned earlier that people might be like triggered or whatever, but like
they're going to be more triggered about Israel than me talking about Elohim, I think.
Yeah. And that's why we're not getting into that.
Not yet. We're going to do another episode on that later.
So the phrase that I shared with you, and so Elohim is how we'd say it when we're not in prayer. The way you said it is how we would say it when we're in prayer, right? But
it's the same El.
Yeah. So that phrase, Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad, it draws that comparison between what the name that you use, what I call Hashem when I'm not in prayer, and it's so hard to talk about this.
Yeah.
But between that name and the name and Elohim, right? We view it as one and the same.
Right.
The difference is how, and we talked about this, how is God's presence manifesting in our world versus God's unbounded essence and as we're just naming it. So it's interesting to hear you talk about it because I do see parallels to what like I believe and what like my tradition is, but also some differences. So it's a different perspective for me.
I'm going to send, I could look up his name, but it would take some time. We could pause or not. And I'm not going to do that. Right. We're just going to like stay in the cut, blood in the cut. When biblical scholars, and I am not a biblical scholar, but I have studied their work. I try my best, guys. If you look at how these ancient men who are very smart, very meticulous, describe Yahweh and describe other Elohim, saying he puts himself then, and I think he won. There are others. He's not the only one here, right? I mean, Islam's like fucking kicking some ass, unfortunately. I mean, I don't agree with a lot of their philosophy. There's a whole other conversation there about Muhammad and him being a channel for something else. Very interesting. Giorgiani speaks to this. I really want to get Giorgiani on the podcast. He says, you worship other Elohim, not me. I'm a jealous God. I am like, how could you be jealous if you are truly El or one? Like, it's like that situation I was telling you about with this young woman. I'm not jealous. It's like you want to go be with him, go be with him. That's okay. I'm not jealous. I know my worth. Right. We are not the same. We are not the same. Yeah. In Japanese, onaji janai dayo. Yeah. Ore wa ichiban dayo. So from this perspective, he puts himself, he understands his rank and status. But in the Bible, it's very clear. You worship these other Elohim.
So that brings me back to a question that a lot of people ask, which is, if God is all powerful, almighty, all great and whatnot, why create the earth? Why have
why say that you are the same as this other deity, that there are multiple gods, a council, they call it like a council with one above them named El.
Right.
It's not even creating the earth, but like,
well, in general, like why what you're saying is that quality of jealousy that's showing like a lack of some sorts, right?
It's showing psychological. I mean, if you look at even like what happened in Sodom and Gomorrah, like, bro, like he nuked 2 cities, like. Because he's like kind of mad. And then even like the prostitute lady that like ratted out her family, like, and then like killed Lot's wife too. Like, it's just like, whoa, bro. Like, that's like, as a psychologist, you look at that just from like an internal family systems perspective. That is not an L move. That's an Elohim move of power, predation. Of I'm trying to prove myself as a warrior deity like Thor. Like, I'm going to take down the snow giant. I'm going to take, like, this is what you get for chopping at Yggdrasil.
So why, and maybe you don't, but why do you look at like Odin, Thor in like this high regard?
I also look at, I also look though at Yahweh in high regard.
Okay, cool. That's good clarification because I'm wondering then like what the difference is.
You want to hear from me like the number, and I get into arguments with this with people who don't like Judaism. My understanding, according to my research and my like when I meditate on this, when I think about okay, fucking Yahweh, why are you such a fucking asshole to these people? Like, you are cruel to these people. Why? Hard times make hard people, and my brothers, my Elohim brothers, and the word is like. Are demanding child sacrifices. No, do not kill your children for me. Do not kill your children for me. But I will lead you through the desert and I will turn you into fucking Alex. Right? And we don't all have to look like Alex to be Alex. You and I, we can be Alex too. Not really. He's going to fucking be a pro bodybuilder. Fucking Alex. These other Canaanite deities were demanding the most heinous and horrible things for their protection. You want to be protected? It's like imagine after World War III, that won't happen, hopefully. And there's men and then, women, and say, oh, you want to be part of my thing, then you have to get on your knees and suck my cock, whatever, and otherwise I'm going to cast you out and you're a slave, you're going to be a sex slave. It's that. I think that's how bad society was. And he said, instead of demanding like the worst of the worst that maybe would have given him food on a certain level, like what is that called, whatever, not chloroform, but the shit that like the elites are supposed to take to make them young. Instead of that, I'm going to take sacrifice. I have to, as a deity, incense, meat, but I'm not going to make you kill your children for me. But if you defy me, I'm going to purge you from the bloodline. And that's still rough, but it's better than child sacrifice. As a dude with a daughter. Yeah. And so as far as I can see, he was the best of all the Canaanite deities. I think Ishtar was pretty good too, but I don't know why they had a falling out. Maybe Giorgiani or some others can illuminate that for us.
It's very interesting stuff to me.
I know, it's wild.
I mean, obviously parts of this are mirrored and like what I've studied, but other parts I didn't know. So this is good. This is cool. It's cool to hear a different perspective,
Yeah.
I want to bring us back a little
Please.
bit to like today's world.
Yeah.
So my response in general to when someone says that they have something against Jews or Judaism, and it makes them, like fingers on the table.
Yeah.
Like, I can't listen to this.
Or I hate these people.
Right.
Yeah. I hate these people.
Yeah. Is to ask, first of all, am I looking at everything within myself that's to make sure that I'm not just rejecting something that's unfamiliar to me, right? Am I holding myself in check as well?
Yeah.
And making sure that this isn't just some racist bias.
I think they would. I agree with you. Can I play not devil's advocate, but
there's two things.
Go ahead. Go.
And the second part. So first of all, like we all should look within and before we judge without, right? That's just like a general thing. The second thing is, I really, really doubt that anyone who holds that hatred has genuinely taken the time to immerse themselves in Jewish culture today.
Right.
And what that looks like for me is if you were to show up to a Friday night dinner in my community, what you would find is warm, loving, religious practice, spirituality that is just rooted in something that is pure love. And when you walk into that room, this Jewish institution that's teaching Judaism, it's full of Jewish people, you will feel that. You will be welcomed in no matter who you are. You will be given a seat at the table. You will join in song with people who are celebrating the Sabbath. And it's a beautiful experience. And so my challenge is to people is first, take a moment to have an experience like that.
Sure.
And then make your judgments.
Sure. Because
when you do that, you withdraw the humanity from the people you're talking about.
Yeah.
I have loved ones. I'm a person who's trying to make the world a better place. I try every day to get up in the morning and have some sort of meaningful impact, to treat the people around me with kindness. And I think that's a mitzvah, and a mitzvah, it's a good deed. It's a commandment. And that's the standard that I and the people around me who are Jewish try to hold ourselves to. So that's all. That's what I have to say about that.
Yeah.
That I believe is my truth. And if you take the time to look for it, I think you'll find that too.
So I've got three things. One, I'm down to go hang out. Seriously,
I know you said. I love that.
And I brought my daughter to the JCC, Jewish Community Center here. JCC, Jewish Community Center here. Beautiful building. One of the nicest in Boulder, actually. I think, because I wanted her to see that. I wanted to see it too. And then even my ex-wife has brought her there. They do great music performances for kids. Cool. So I'm down, and I would encourage everyone to do that. First part of what you were saying, I think that your average American has a pretty good understanding of like basic Judaism.
I don't think so.
Well, so okay, so I'm happy. Like we should get into it. As far as like, I can just think about myself in grade school. Like we celebrated Christian holidays and Jewish holidays. Like there was a lot of space for that, and it was taught to us in a very open way. Where like, for example, like racism against Black people was like really like, no, those people are bad, you know what I mean? But for Jewish stuff, it was like, at least in the suburban Massachusetts that I grew up in, it was like, these are the same as us. Like, yeah, maybe they killed Jesus, whatever. We don't talk about it. They're fine. Don't worry about it. Like, just don't worry about that. Like these are just our Jewish friends. Like, it's fine. That's the pretty like standard middle class millennial perspective for the foundation. And different than like for like Black people, for example, of like Black people, like a whole fucking laundry list of like negative shit that we inherited, at least as millennials.
That's also because America has its own history.
Totally.
Right?
It's really bad.
Also, where in Mass did you grow up?
Acton and Concord. Yeah, west of Boston. Everything's west of Boston.
I grew up in Swampscott.
Oh, for real? Okay.
Yeah,
okay,
that's crazy.
That's really funny. Yeah.
So, but that is a place in the U.S. that is also very much a predominantly Jewish state compared to many others. Yeah, you would be very surprised.
Okay,
you go to some states, people have never met a Jew in their life. Okay. In their life.
Okay.
They don't know anything. Okay. I in college at CU Boulder met people who have never met a Jewish person, know absolutely nothing about Judaism for other than what they've
maybe I'm
heard.
being like what is it called, like ethnocentric from my own experience.
Well, you grew up in an area and as did I that it's a very diverse area.
Yeah. In that way. Yeah. There's not a lot of Black people. Just to be honest.
In Mass.
I mean, not where I was growing up, but yeah. I had to become educated from that later in life. Okay. Yeah.
So I do want to challenge that.
Okay. No, fair. I appreciate it.
My dad grew up in Omaha, Nebraska.
Right.
And like he was an alien there.
Right.
Right. I mean, it's not. He didn't have as pleasant of an experience being a Jew in the Midwest as I did.
If you go from the like ancient alien Yahweh is an alien race on planet, literally is an alien there. If there's also not other Jewish people, that he would have a different genetic code than other people. So I know this is like crazy, but like hold with me for a second. So I used to have a wolf hybrid. His name was Shiro. Shout out to Shiro. And he was like 60 whatever % wolf. Okay. When I would bring him to the dog park, and the rest was Malamute and Husky. When I bring him to the dog park, other dogs would smell the difference in him and freak the fuck out. Mm-hmm. So if you subscribe to this, we have genetic material from these other off-world beings or on-world, whatever, different beings in us, like literally a part of our gene keys, genetic code. If you then are around other people that are not used to that, it feels different. And it can be a difference. And so that may be some of the stuff that you're talking about, of some of the like the racism. If you don't grow up around wolves or wolf dogs or whatever, it can feel odd, and then try to segregate what you don't know.
Well, dude, we're all genetically different. But I think to like, and I appreciate your curiosity, but I think something like that is harmful for a listener who might already be very rooted in their hatred and be reinforcing of the idea that.
Oh, I don't think that. Okay.
Well, just think about it from someone's perspective.
Sure.
They have this deep hatred, and sharing that idea reinforces, this group is alien. This group is other.
They're also.
That leaves room for
for
dehumanizing, because then you said, they are not what I am. Therefore, I don't have to have the same level of empathy and compassion for them because they are other.
Okay, so I'll be clear. All races of humans then would be, all modern humans have gene keys of these Elohim, dependent on whatever the major religion was of the area. So in Israel, if it would be Yahweh. In Scandinavia, it would be Thor and the Aesir.
Got it.
In India, it would be the Devas and I guess if you're whatever, there's like a little water ocean area, it'd be the Devas and the Asuras.
Right.
And the Asuras, you flip it in the other religion where they're the good guys and the bad guys, they're just fighting. And so everyone has that. And then people's gene keys would be based on some of the metaphysical abilities or cities that they have. Cities is in like literal metaphysical abilities. Yeah. That people can leverage. So it's not, but if you take one group and bring them into another area, they're going to feel different because of that genetic differentiation from this perspective, which I do believe personally.
Yes. And I think that comes back to what we were talking about earlier about how people naturally have a reaction, whether it's conscious or not, to what is different and what is uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I naturally had a reaction going into the men's group last night that, oh, these people are operating on a different set of rules in this space than what I'm used to.
Yeah.
So discomfort comes up, right?
Yeah.
I can choose curiosity.
Yeah.
And say, I'm gonna get curious about this. I'm gonna rise above that human tendency to push this strange thing away and find curiosity. Or I can go down that route and have a miserable experience where everything that's different from me and what I'm used to is bad.
Yeah, there's like a buzzsaw happening in the hallway. I don't know if anyone hear that. Yeah, curious about
the new studio being built.
Oh, okay, sick. So
maybe.
Shout out to the new studio. We're gonna have couches. I think we're gonna be doing a live stream show. I'm very excited about it. Actually, it's gonna be a variety show with Lightstone as your host. Yeah, I know. Fucking stay tuned for that, folks. We're gonna talk about more Elohim stuff. Be able to confuse everyone and piss everyone else off. The people who are not confused will also be pissed off, I'm sure. From this perspective, with the remaining time that we have, I think also there's like a very strong, so we haven't also used the N-word, Nazi. I think that there's actually, I think that there's also a very strong pro-Nazi influence in America, which when I had Matt Patrick on, we talked about. Mm-hmm. So there's actual propaganda fueling this, which we haven't talked about. And so it keeps coming back, I think, to geopolitical stuff that also involves like fucking spaceships, for me, at least, from my perspective. I'm really I really deeply believe this. And so when you have this differentiation, when you have this, they're not used to the Jew, the magical Jew. Just look at fucking Alex. He's the magical Jew. And then let's say there are gene keys or not. Who fucking cares? I mean, I deeply care. But from this perspective, it doesn't matter. They're different. And then there's propagandized that they're bad and are destroying the country. And then we get into the whole Israel thing of like so much money is going to this country. And I'm not saying that's good or bad right now because we're not having that conversation now. You get this reaction of people that they're like, oh my fucking God, I'm so angry. And I need to put it somewhere. And society is telling me that this is a safe place to put my anger.
Right. And why put your anger on individuals?
Because of the propaganda.
Right. But propaganda by who? Like
by the Nazis.
But yes and no. We want to remember that if you're upset with your country and the decisions of your country, blame the people that are making those decisions. But those are the people that love us the most and take care of us and that give us everything that we need. I'm lying to you, bro. I know. And as Americans, it is our duty and responsibility to challenge the people who have authority.
And that's why we're having these conversations. But when you try, like the fucking Epstein files, and you get someone like Kash Patel who says, I'm going to release the files, and he stands up there with his eyes like this, and he looks like he's fucking had electroshock therapy. And it's like, they can't. I mean, I can't. I fucking started a podcast to talk about this weird shit. So just try to like fucking get some truth.
I want to finish the thought there.
Okay.
Hold those people accountable, great. But why is the reaction to blame the individuals who happen to be part of this group, and have absolutely no role in this,
right?
And you look at what happened in Boulder this summer, where a group of Jews and Israelis were ambushed by a guy with Molotov cocktails. A woman died. Dozens of people injured.
Yeah.
And it stems from the same idea. Well, let me target these people when in reality, these are just a bunch of elderly people living their lives.
Right.
That has nothing to do with the actual people in power. If you want to hold your politicians, if you want to hold your leaders, if you want to hold Israeli politicians accountable, take it up with them. Like go protest, go make a difference. But channeling it towards hate, it's not only gonna, it doesn't only negatively impact the Jewish people.
Yeah.
The people who are like neo-Nazis in America, they hate pretty much anyone who isn't like that.
They don't hate white people. They love them.
Okay,
no, I'm joking.
Unless you're a white woman. And
yeah, right.
And,
I'm joking.
Right?
I'm joking.
I know you are. So that's I challenge these things pretty hard because I think that they have real world implications.
I agree with everything that you're saying. It's like people are in a maze, and they're only. It's like cows to slaughter. This is our timer saying that we got 10:25. Someone's gonna bust through this door. It's like cattle getting literally herded to a slaughter. All they can see is what is right in front of them through media and propaganda, and they're being led like this.
Yeah.
And so it is the purpose of these podcasts, these conversations, Shells and Shadows, and what I'm doing, fucking Babe Philosophy and fucking all of them. There's a whole list over there of all these different podcasts to try to get this information out here to take those blinders off.
Yeah.
But it's like, I guess the thing that I would offer to you as your friend, those people, all they see are those old men and women at the JCC that they want to throw a fucking like a cocktail at. It's so dumb, but they don't even, I think, have like the higher cognitive ability to challenge because they're so preyed upon by society. Right. Does that make sense?
Yes. And that's where I come to a prayer that I say every morning, the serenity prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. There are people that I can't and won't try to change.
Right.
And we talked about this. But there are things that I can do, and that's help give my community.
Oh, bro, and that's what you're doing with your men's group.
And have a conversation with another human being who also wants to have a positive impact on the world and realize that your traditions and your backgrounds has led you to this place of having this impact. And so have mine. And we are the same.
And even when Lightstone says, I'm sure from your perspective, some of the craziest fucking shit you have ever heard, you're like, what is this guy saying? But to be able to be like, okay, cool. I'm going to try to follow this wild, like the red line, you know, the meme with the red line conspiracy theory. Yeah. I'm going to try to follow this and I'm going to try to map it and then take my own understanding on top of it and then build something hopefully beautiful. So this is a big, long pitch for your men's group.
Yeah. We went in a lot of different areas. But I'm excited. Outside of, obviously, we talked a lot about Judaism, but in general, I think men especially need to connect with nature, need to connect with their bodies, need to connect with their emotions, and doing that in a place where we strengthen each other.
Yeah.
I think do
you have Ben?
Amazing stuff.
Ben, come on in. Is it Ben?
Yo.
Yeah. Oh, it's someone else. Sorry. It's another.
All right. Well,
all right. It's actually a good friend of mine, another podcaster, part of our team. We went over time because we love you guys so much. This is a crazy episode. And we will see you all next time.
Thank you for having me, brother.
Oh, dude, anytime. We're going to talk more. We're talking about Israel next time, bro.